everyone. So I just got back from watching the newest entry into the Scream horror franchise. This, of course, stars well, Sidney Prescott's back, so Neve Campbell's back, Courtney Cox is back as Gail Weathers, David Arquette is back as Dewey, and we have a bunch of new faces, some from some familiar actors, but Jenna Ortega is in this. We had Dylan Mietz is in this, Jack Quaid, bunch of actors who actually bring quite a bit of talents to this movie. So this, of course, is a continuation from the story. Takes place, of course, after all the other ones came before it. No prequel, no nothing like that. It comes in at about an hour and 45 minutes long and offers up actually a very, very fun movie. So without further ado, let me get into my review for 2022's Scream. So of course, going into this, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. It's a January release, and we all know how usually those movies can go. And watching from the trailers, I wasn't certain exactly how this movie was going to play out in an interesting way, but is actually very, very fun. And of course, they bring back a lot of the legacy cast, being Sydney, Gale, and Dewey. And I did find that their roles in this were actually very meaningful and really, really good for the characters. And they do have a lot of what my favorite thing about this, of course, is that there is kind of like in the first Scream movie, how it was almost a parody of horror movies, but took all the elements and made one of the best horror movies of all time. This kind of does it again in terms of sequels and the tropes they bring and franchises and things like that. There's a lot of jokes and shots played at basically the Star Wars franchise and how they try something absolutely brand new and it takes away from what fans love about it. And it also goes and dives pretty deep into the kind of like toxic fandom and how that can even ruin movies and receptions. How they can twist a narrative that studios will try and go for, but then it turns out it's not what they wanted at all. And like little things like that, where it's just kind of how tough it is to continue off a franchise and make it fresh, but still have it familiar enough that fans are going to want to come back to it and like it and enjoy it. And like like I said, there's a lot of that kind of commentary in this that drives the narrative forward, and they take that from other Halloween movies, from Friday the 13th, and even the Scream franchise itself, or the Stab franchise, from, of course, the movies within these movies based off of Sydney's life. And I really, really enjoyed it. But of course, this time around takes place in Westboro. We kind of follow the Carpenter family and mostly Tara, where she is attacked by Ghostface. And it kind of brings back this question of, okay, Ghostface is back. How does this connect to Sydney? How does this connect to Dewey and all these characters? And how does it connect to, of course, the people being targeted? And we kind of get to see that everything relates back to the very first film. And they even too they show like clips from the first film, it being Stab at that point, but they show clips from it to kind of drive the narrative of this film. And there's a lot of history that they go into within the town of Woodsboro, and this really, the legend is still alive. Sydney and Courtney are all kind of brought back into this because if there's a Ghostface killer back, it means that they're never safe and they have to go back and kind of make certain that they put an end to it before anyone else gets hurt and before anyone comes to the family, because just this whole part of their past life is going to follow them forever and ever and ever. And it's their responsibility to put a stop to it, even though they should be long, long gone from this whole scenario. But I did really like all the callbacks they had to the old film, some of the old locations. It was just kind of, like I said, they go into commentary about it to kind of joke about everything that people want from the Scream sequels and from horror movie sequels. And they work that into the narrative, and they also too work that into the plots of this movie. And I thought they did it in a very, very fun and very interesting way. And of course, it's a horror movie. Everyone wants to know how the kills are, and this Ghostface is absolutely brutal, where he doesn't care if it's broad daylight or the dead of night. He is stalking his victims, going into like full hospitals to make certain that he kills his targets. But yeah, the kills are pretty brutal. All like the stabs and the hits hit hard, and like it's absolutely brutal. Some of them where you almost secondhand feel the pain that these characters are going through, because yeah, they're absolutely brutal. People get their hand stabbed through and then just continue pushing down for again some nasty jabs, slashes, the ghost face killings that you definitely want to see. And I did find that the acting in this was honestly pretty well done too. And most of the characters, I mean, of course, it's a horror movie. People are going to go into danger, whether it be a stupid situation or not. But I did find that pretty much most of the decisions could be believable enough to happen. Like the characters are decently smart for horror movie characters, whether it just be in trying to predict things that could happen. There were a few times where one character says something like, "Oh, don't split up," but then they'll wander off and do something on their own. There's a few times like that that kind of took away from some of the enjoyment in the movie. It's like, dude, come on, you just said this, little things like that. But of course, it's a horror movie. The killers are going to want to separate the people, and I did find that it was kind of weaved into the narrative decently well, and the characters are likable and smart enough to keep this film believable, interesting, and very fun to watch. But yeah, with my time, with like I said, with the hour and 45 minutes, I felt that they told a very, very good story. And it felt like all the best things from Scream 1 and 2 combined into one film. And I liked just like I said, kind of the self-aware commentary that this movie had about itself and other horror movie sequels. I liked the killings. I loved how the story progressed. I liked the well, of course, when they reveal who Ghostface is, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a very well done story, and it does kind of open up the franchise a little bit more if they would want to do more movies. Nothing in like a grand universe kind of fashion. It's just it's there if they want to do it, and I'm excited to see what they could do with these films because like I said, this is another great entry into the Scream franchise that I'm definitely going to have to rewatch when it comes to the spooky season because it was very, very well done. So with all this taken together, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, this Scream is back and it came back in a really, really good way. Highly recommend it for any fans of the franchise or horror movies if you just want a fun, good, spooky time. I mean, it's not too scary, but it's a very, very well written and fun slasher film. So if you've seen Scream, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you like this review, you can definitely check out all my other movie reviews and everything else that I do on this channel through my playlist down below, and I'll link some up top here. Like this video, subscribe, and turn the little ring around if you want to know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do Twitch and live stream wise, there's a link to that in the bio of this video and on my channel. And in both of those places, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, music, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community. I'll make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, go check out Scream, guys. It was a blast and awesome.